Welcome back to J.L. Smith. I'm Jeff Smith, and I recently had the great pleasure of interviewing Josh Dunlevy, who's a young technician at Hollis Germann Music in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's go meet Josh. Hey Josh, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Jeff.
Thanks for sitting down with me. I've
Certainly.
been very interested in learning a little more about where you come from and how you got into the business.
Sure.
You were a doubler, saxophone, flute, clarinet player originally, is that right?
That's correct.
And you traveling musician and so forth. So what brought you into the bench world?
Well, you know, after being on the road for about 6 years, I settled back in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm originally from, with my then girlfriend, my now wife. And I was still a full-time professional musician, freelancing, playing, and struggling a little bit, but enjoying.
A struggling musician?
Can you imagine? But I had a relationship as a customer and as a fellow musician with Jim Germann for many years, and Jim knew that I was interested in repair from years ago. Actually, as a high school kid, actually, to regress a little bit here, we're going backwards before we go forwards, I got my first Mark VI alto and used, and it was in pretty rough shape. Of course, I didn't really know that at the time, and a teacher of mine had said, "Oh, you know, there's a guy in town here that does, you know, pretty amazing work on saxophones." And at that time, I wasn't even aware of woodwind repair. And sure enough, I met Jim, and he was very kind to me, even as a young, impressionable high school kid, you know, just getting into playing. And anyway, long story short, he overhauled my Mark VI, and it was, even at that young age, I realized, wow, this is a different instrument that I got back. So I was pretty taken at that point with not only with Jim, but with the ability of a repairman to make that kind of an impact, on an instrument and on a player. So that really had a profound effect on how I saw woodwind repair, and from then on. And of course, I had opportunities to, as I was on the road, as all musicians have been in this situation, you know, you need repair. You're in San Francisco, you're in Seattle, you're in Texas, and so I had an opportunity to see other people's work in and around the country, and, you know, kind of got a little bit of a perspective on that as a player, for, you know, emergency repairs and things like that over the years. But long story short, getting back to your original question, me coming back to town and reconnecting with Jim. Actually, we were on the way back from a gig together. We were both playing in the saxophone section, and we were just talking about the business. And long story short, like I said, he approached me about, and he and Don Hollis had just opened up their own business and were quite busy, for very good reason, and they needed help. And he and Don both gave me an opportunity to come here and apprentice and learn the trade, and I'll be forever indebted to them for that opportunity.
And that was almost 5 years ago,
Yeah, that was about 5 years ago.
And so in that time, you've been working primarily woodwinds, or?
Yes, woodwind.
So in transitioning from a player that had an awareness of repair work and the what that could do, as you say, to an instrument, and both for a musician, transitioning into being a craftsman at the bench, what has been some of the biggest surprises there for you?
The control and the precision that a repairman has to have, and a kind of a vision of what the instrument is going to feel like, play like, I guess, sound like in the end. You know, having a real, getting a general picture of.
So like a solid concept of how good it can be.
Absolutely.
And so that's your aim. In
absolutely,
other words,
absolutely. And you know, the all the challenges, all the attention to detail that we as repairmen have to constantly pay attention to, from the moment that instrument hits our repair bench. And I have to say, right at the beginning, it was again a fantastic opportunity. I dove right in here at the shop with flutes, and I think that both Don and Jim were wise in that choice. I think just because of the, again at the beginning, the amount of precision that it has to be.
So it's not that they didn't want to do the flute.
No, well,
I mean, come on.
That might have been part of it too, but it was a fantastic training at the beginning, and it was just dive in and swim, and certainly a standard here that is very high, and they certainly let me know that at the beginning, and it was invaluable. And I thank my lucky stars every day. That first 6 months to a year was just a whirlwind in the best possible way.
Right. Well, in some ways, your background and experience in repair kind of echoes that of your mentor, Jim, because he also started as a musician, performing musician, and became an apprentice, and you followed the same route, apprenticing to a master, and I think that's not a real common experience anymore. There's not many opportunities to apprentice directly with someone, and I wonder if you have advice for young people that want to get into the trade that maybe don't have that opportunity in the town where they live particularly. What are your thoughts about how you would go about this if you hadn't met a Jim Germann?
That's an excellent question. Well, I mean, again, as you said, that those opportunities are few and far between nowadays, and I think that style of learning, being able to have the time and have someone, I think it really comes down to personalities. When you are able to sit with a master, or in my case, plural masters, and really have someone take the time and not only show you, but at some point in time in any learning process, you're going to make mistakes, and that you have the opportunity to make those mistakes and learn from them, and not learning from someone and apprenticing with someone who has that kind of personality that can has the patience.
Right.
I think maybe that's the key word here. Again, personalities. Seek out someone who obviously is a master, and who you respect in several senses of the word. Not only their work, but their their aesthetic and their ethics towards business. All of the above. I think that there are so many different disciplines that go into what we do, not just at the bench with a feeler gauge or seating
Great
pads,
point.
things like that.
Great point.
Dealing with customers, being able to answer questions, and having concern for just in general helping people. That was a real eye-opener to the business, learning from Jim and Don how to do those types of things. I don't know that I directly answered your question, but
well, and it maybe isn't a question that can be directly answered, because what I'm hearing you say is that there's no real substitute for that experience of being able to work one-on-one with somebody that really has a great approach and is a great teacher.
Certainly.
So, congratulations on the opportunity you had.
Oh.
And I hope others can learn from this, and I want to thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Okay.